Alright, let's talk about plant tissues in this class. So what are tissues? Cells of same type, they join together to form tissues. So we can say tissues are those cells which have similar structure and function, right? So we have plant and animal tissues, and in this class we are going to study about plant tissues. So basically, if you talk about plant tissues, there are two broad categories. One is meristematic tissue and the other one is permanent tissues. Now just remember, meristematic tissues consist of actively dividing cells, and they divide throughout their lifetime, whereas permanent tissues have lost this function of division. Division ability is lost. Okay? Alright. Now permanent tissues, as we are going to study further, they consist of two broad categories. One is simple tissue, simple permanent tissue, and another one is complex permanent tissue. Now again, for simple permanent tissues, you have other categories. For example, you have tissues like parenchyma. You can have a look here how the cells are round and simple, and their basic function is just storage of food. The second one is parenchyma. Now if these cells are storing air spaces between them, air spaces as you can see here, then this tissue is now referred to as parenchyma. So I'll write they store air spaces. The third category is chlorenchyma. If this parenchyma tissue stores chlorophyll in it and becomes green and helps in photosynthesis, then this is referred to as chlorenchyma. The next category is collenchyma. Here the tissue is going to help in flexibility of the plant. That means it is going to allow the plant to bend. So bending the plant body. Right? So that's the job of collenchyma. And last one is sclerenchyma. Now as the name might suggest you, that this is going to provide mechanical support for the plant to stand all day, right? So it is going to give strength to the plant to stand. So basically this further is of two types. One is sclerites and the other one is, any guesses? Fibers. So sclerites typically consist of rounded shaped cells with thickenings. So these are the sclerites. And fibers are longitudinal cells having thickenings on the sides, right? So these are fibers. So basically these are both the parts of sclerenchyma tissue. So again, to summarize, if you talk about permanent tissues, they've lost their ability to divide. They are of two types. One is simple, another one is complex. I'll just talk about complex tissue in a while. So there are 5 basic categories that we have studied under it. The first one is parenchyma tissue. that helps in storage of food. Second one, if the parenchyma tissue stores air in it, then it is referred to as aerenchyma. The third category consists of chlorenchyma. That means the parenchyma is now going to store chlorophyll and it is going to become green and photosynthetic and help the plant to make food. The fourth category is collenchyma, which is going to help the plant to become more flexible and help the plant to bend. And the fifth category is sclerenchyma, which is going to provide mechanical support to the plant. So if the cells are rounded in shape and have thickenings on the sides, they are referred to as sclerids. And if the cells are longitudinal and have thickenings on the sides, they are referred to as fibers. So they are both the subparts of sclerenchyma. Right, now have a look at this. Now this one represents parenchyma, this one aerenchyma, and here you can see some epidermal cells. The topmost layer of the plant tissue is made of cells called epidermis. So you can see epidermal cells are the ones which are going to have stomata in it and help the plant to exchange gases as well as in transpiration. And the fourth category here, you can see the chlorenchyma cells. Now please do not get confused by the terminology used here. Now you can see parenchyma is also called as mesophyll. So it's of two types here, palisade parenchyma or palisade mesophyll, and the other one is spongy parenchyma or spongy mesophyll. Because it has air in it, so it is referred to as spongy mesophyll. So anyways, so this one is here representing, the dots are representing the chloroplasts in it. So here this represents collenchyma, right? Now have a look here. Sorry, the chlorenchyma, not collenchyma. Have a look here. Now this one is collenchyma, which helps the plant to bend, right? So you can see that it has thickenings at the corners. This is important. Wherever the cells are having any corner, you can see the thickenings in it. Now, whenever you are dissecting something, like for example, if you are taking a leaf and if you cut the leaf like this is going to be called as longitudinal section. And if you cut the leaf like this, it's going to be referred to as transverse section. And so when you're going to look at the longitudinal section, the cells look like this with the thickenings on the side here in case of collenchyma cells. And when you take a transverse section of the leaf, you will see the cells are going to look like this, rounded, right, with the thickenings on the corners. Okay, now have a look at this. This is sclerenchyma that I was telling you. So sclerenchyma is going to have thickenings in it. So sclerids are represented here in this one. You can see different types of sclerids, right? And fibers in longitudinal section look like this. So you can see the thickenings throughout. All these are thickenings, all these are thickenings, right, which make the sclerenchyma tissue very thick. And here you can see here, this represents basically the transverse section of a plant called nymphia, and this is having a stellate or star shaped sclerid in it. This one you can see here. So this is a stellate sclerid in it. Anyways, the function of sclerid is just to thicken the plant so that the plant is able to get mechanical strength to stand throughout. Okay, coming back to complex tissues. So you have two categories under it. One is xylem and the other one is phloem. Now, if you recall back, xylem tissue is involved in conduction of water and minerals in the plant body, and phloem tissue helps in conduction of food throughout the plant body, prepared food which is in the form of sucrose, right? So this is how they are helping in conduction of food, and collectively these are called as vascular tissues. Now if you look at the cells that form the xylem tissue, so you will have to learn the names of these cells. So basically you have tracheids, then you have vessels, Then you have xylem fibers and xylem parenchyma. Right? These are all the 4 category of cells that form the xylem tissue. Right? Now these cells are living basically, and later on, except the xylem parenchyma, all other cells are dead cells. So these all die later on, but this is a living tissue. It's made up of living cells. Rest all cells are dead in case of xylem. If you talk about phloem tissue, now phloem tissue is again made up of different cells. So you have sieve tubes, then you have companion cells, then you have phloem fibers, and we have phloem parenchyma. Now you'll have to learn the names of these cells, there's no other way, right? So again, these are the cells that make up the phloem tissue, right? Now again, out of this, the sieve tubes, if I take you to this, you can see these. Now these are the sieve tubes, long cells that you see, and then they have tiny perforations or holes in it, as you can see here, right? So this is referred to as sieve plate, and this is what is going to help in conduction of food. Now the food is going to be transported actually from the leaves in the downward and upward, both directions, right? But when you talk about xylem, then it is going to help in conduction of water and minerals only in the upward direction, because water and minerals are present inside the roots, inside the soil. So they have to be transported only in one direction. So I can say xylem transport is unidirectional, that is from the soil to the plant body, whereas phloem transport is bidirectional, because leaves are distributed throughout the plant and they are going to send this or distribute the prepared food throughout the plant body, right? So I hope this thing is clear, and I'm just going to end this topic. In the next class, we'll be studying about animal tissues. Thank you.